I am welcoming you, our mentor, Sahnaz ma'am, now in this group.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Thanks to you that you are there with us. Let me tell a little bit about you. She is Sahnaz Rahman. She is one of our GC alumni too, and she's working here in Kolkata as a RCI rehabilitation psychologist, and she also run her own page on students' mental health and today's webinar, she is going to talk about how to take care of our own mental health, and she will obviously introduce with some activities in this webinar. Hope you will all enjoy this webinar today. Ma'am, you can start now.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Can I request Gaurav sir? Yeah, done. I can present my screen. Good afternoon to everyone. How are you all doing?
We are good, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you for responding. See, please make it as as a discussion because we all are from the same field, and I'm not an expert in this, and it will be always beneficial so that we can share from each other's learning and we can learn from each other. And I'm sure there are many people in this group who are much more senior, much more experienced than I am. I'm only 3 years into this field, and in this entire pandemic I have seen so many people, coming up with different webinars about mental health, about children, adolescents, elderly, students, so many, but no one was talking about us. We are also on the forefront, taking care of mental health of the people in this new pandemic, and all of these things contributed to our own stress level. So I'll just present my screen to understand better. Is my screen visible and am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much for your response. So, what can we expect today in this 1 hour webinar is that, of course, there will be discussion about mental health of psychologists. That is a discussion about all of us, and we'll try to understand a little bit about burnout. And I'd like you all to participate and share your own experience if you have ever faced burnout, and if you, how did you overcome that situation, and how what are the measures that you have taken for yourself. And also we'll try to understand the concept of self-care and why is it important for us. And towards the end I have planned one very relaxing activity for all of us, which something which I also like and I also enjoy to do, and I thought of doing that with you as well. So, as I was saying, that why it's important to talk about mental health of psychologists, of course, because like any other human beings, we are also not immune to mental health problems. We have our own sets of stresses, our personal issues, and the risk of mental health problems are equal with any other people. So we are also prone to depression, anxiety, substance abuse, and suicide. So this is from a data that I could collect. This is, I think, so 4 years old data. So there it was mentioned that more than 60% have suffered a clinically significant depression at some point in their lives, and one out of every four psychologists has suicidal feelings at times, and 16 have already attempted suicide. So this is something very serious, and we have to talk about it. We have to talk about our own selves also. So what are the professional hazards that we come across? We know that our field is so much of giving, so much of care, so much of compassion. It is always focused on other people well-being, and it is always a one-way process. We only listen, we listen, and we try to give that comfort. We try to give and help the clients dealing with certain emotional turmoils. And we are always exposed to the negative sides of the society. People coming to us with domestic violence, child abuse, sexual abuse, there are relationship problems, marriages are falling apart. So there are so many negative stresses that we face, day in and day out. We deal with that every day. 8 hours, 10 hours, we are listening. So this is one of the hazard of our profession. We are long hours, we are focusing only on other people well-being. We are only concerned about what are the other people, we the needs of other people, and those are our clients, that is our for their betterment. So this is one of the professional hazard that is in our profession. Second thing is that verbal abuse. There have been reports of clients who have sometimes abuse their counselors, they have abused their psychologists due to various reasons. We also have to understand that clients come from different background, different settings in to to get some kind of comfort, and they come with their own baggage, they come from their own vulnerability, and sometimes they project it on us therapists, so there is a kind of verbal abuse. There have also been reports of physical assault from clients as well. And this is another thing, that patient suicide, this is a constant worry that when we deal with clients who have shown symptoms of suicide, who have given us signals or red warnings about them thinking, contemplating suicide, or there is an ideation, there is a planned intent. This is the constant worry that we have inside of us, whether whether they will follow up with us, whether they will do something to themselves, whether am I being effective enough to stop this, to prevent this. So these are some of the professional hazards that we always, day in and day out, we deal with that. And there are other stresses as well. There is a stress of work, the kind of settings that you are working with, whether you're working in school, in corporate, in your own private practice, or with any other organization. There will be some or the other kind of stress that comes along with the work and the work settings that you do. And of course, we as human beings also have our own personal issues to deal with. We have our family, we have our children, we have our relationships, marriages, and those are also a big a contributing factor to our own stress level. As we understand that now, standing in this pandemic, so many of us have lost their jobs, so many of us were waiting to join somewhere but could not go there. And I am a prime example. I left my job in March and I was supposed to join somewhere, but it never happened because of the lockdown and the impact. So we are also equally impacted with this pandemic. And as it is, we know that it is so hard to make a living out of the profession of psychology. There's so less remuneration, with so much of work to do, there's so less remuneration that we get. And there's no kind of recognition also that we get. People coming up with different perception of psychology and psychologists, that is also, I'm not saying everyone is vulnerable to those comments, but some people down the line always feel that what are we doing, there is no recognition, there's no appreciation, and there's no remuneration as per se as well. And there is of course enormous paperwork that we have to do after each session, after each word. There's enormous paperwork. There are other kind of clerical kind of things that we also have to do depending on the work setting that you are in. And another stressor, that is client dropout. When there is a dropout rate in the client, if you're working in private setting and if you have your own client base and you see that there is constant drop in clients dropping out of therapy after one session, two session, this also brings a lot of stress in us. Like, am I doing something wrong? Is there some fault in me? Is there some technical problem, or is there something that I am not making? Instead of understanding that there are many factors for client dropout rates, sometimes we just internalize this entire thing. As I said, that the new normal has brought in a lot of stresses for all of us, and this is the first time, like, we are facing the same issues like the clients of who comes and tell us, due to lockdown they are facing these issues. So the practitioners and the clients are going through the same kind of instability right now. Even with 9 or 10 months right now in the pandemic, we are still have our own sets of instability and insecurity that we are still ongoing. And we also don't know what kind of clients we are going to get each day. Every other day we get something or the other, so there's a lot of insecurity, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. And there's always there has been an increased number of clients right now who are suffering. Now, something to worry about is that we as practitioners, we as psychologists, we do not monitor our own mental health, and sometimes we fail to monitor our colleagues as well. There's very less monitoring done on our part, and the kind of system that we are in, we do not have that those kind of the system of supervisors where it is mandatory that you have to meet your supervisors. It's mandatory that you go for your own personal therapy. So we don't have, unfortunately, that kind of system in India, but this is something which we have to worry about. And there's also very less resources to reach out. Where do we reach out as a mental health professionals when we are in trouble, or where we have something to discuss, we have something to share? So there's also less resources that is available for us. And the last point is that we ourselves are very sometimes reluctant to go to therapy. We feel that we know all the concepts of psychology, we know what is CBT, we know what is DBT, we know REBT, we are well versed with all these things. So sometimes we feel that okay, uh, this therapy will not work on me because I already know the concept. So in spite of knowing that there is something that is sometimes, there is stress level, there is anxiety, instead of going and seeking out help, we tend to understand it by ourselves, and it makes things more worse. What are the risk factors that contribute? So risk factors are not something different for psychologists and non-psychologists. Risk factors are same for all of us. So it can be, mental health disorders, social isolation, physical illness, unemployment, family conflict, impulsivity, and so many other factors. Also, the risk factors which contributes, for poor mental health are the professional responsibilities that we each one of us have, and the intense nature of our work. We are always giving and we are receiving so less. So the intense nature of the work that we kind of, we have chosen to do this. And the work environment, the characteristics, also the individual characteristics that we ourselves we have, that are also associated with a unique set of risk factors. So as well as I was telling you what is the impact of all of this risk factors and all of the professional hazard and personal hazard, is that chronic anxiousness. Like we are constantly anxious about our clients, about our personal stressors as well. We are anxious about whether the client who has said about going to commit suicide, whether he is going to follow up with us or not, whether we will get another chance to meet them or not. So we cannot shut off completely from these thoughts, from this baggage that we carry the entire day, or that we listen entire day. We are always on the therapist mode on. And it sometimes it comes to our personal life as well. People are coming to us with their own baggage, and they are constantly sharing their own problems, sharing, and we are just there listening without us saying much about our own lives. So there's of course stress, and there's a constant worry about our well-being, our loved ones well-being, and also the client's well-being, and the concept of burnout. So let us first discuss what is a burnout. So burnout is included in the ICD-11. It is mentioned as an occupational phenomena. So it is a syndrome that results from chronic workplace stress, stress that has not been managed. So what is burnout? How do we understand that we are having a burnout? Is that there is a constant feeling of energy depletion, like our energy or is constantly depleting, or it is decreasing, and we constantly feel exhausted. We constantly feel exhausting, emotionally exhausted, mentally exhausted, physically exhausted to go and return to do our job. And there's increased mental distance, like we are distancing ourselves from our jobs, and there's a very negative feeling about our job, like we don't want to return back to those that particular job. And also our efficacy and our productivity is always very very reduced when we are having experiencing burnout. It is burnout is specifically limited to the work environment, and it should not be applied to other areas of a person's life. So it means that we can apply that we are having a burnout when in respect to a job situation or a occupational situation. As I was explaining, that burnout is the result of job stress that stems from the numerous emotional hazards, as I already mentioned about the emotional hazards or the professional hazards that we day in and day out we face. And it can strike therapists early in their career as well. It's not reserved for someone who is in 40-50 years of experience in the field. It can happen anytime, any given point in your career, and you can face a burnout. It manifests as physical emotional exhaustion. So the symptoms manifest firstly as emotionally, you feel emotionally exhausted, you feel emotionally fatigued, you feel completely drained doing what we do. and this can lead from detachment, like you don't feel attached to yourself, or you don't feel attached to your patients, and sometimes you start hating your clients. Sometimes you start having so much of negative attitude towards client whom we perceive at, they drain our energy, or sometimes the client is perceived as stressors. And when we are having a burnout, we cannot perform to the best of our ability or to the best of our capacity, and the productivity always increases, and we cannot treat our patients or our clients with so less of our own selves. So we have to do something to take care of ourselves so that we can give the best to our clients. I don't know if you have watched Bajrangi Bhaijaan. So there was one line, oxygen mask pehle khud pehno fir dusron ko pehnao. So you cannot pour from an empty vessel, so you have to reserve your some energy for yourself, some kind of love, compassion for yourself, and from there you pour it to your clients, you pour it to your loved ones. So it is very important to understand if you are having a burnout, and once you understand that you are having a burnout, we can take proper steps and proper measures to prevent those burnout. So what are the signs to look out for, that you can look out those signs for your own self and also your peer or your colleague who is also having a burnout. So as I already mentioned, that there is a negative feeling about clients, there's reduced quality of care, the kind of care that is expected out of you to provide to your clients, there is a reduction in that. A tired appearance, the eye contact is reduced, and there's general irritation and agitation and poor communication. So this is a example of a school counselor. So she's 27-year old. She's a female, and this was her first job as a school counselor. So 1.5 years after completing in that school, she started to show symptoms of burnout. She had completely negative attitude towards students. She's the one once at the beginning she used to love the students, she used to love and care for her students, and suddenly it started as emotional exhaustion and fatigue, and it seemed that she seen no result in her counseling. She started to have a lot of self doubt about herself, like whether she's even an effective school counselor. Is she being able to contribute anything meaningful to that school community or to the students? And there was a constant low mood and constant anxiety of returning back to that school. Whenever the morning, getting up in the morning was getting difficult for her, and the thinking that she will have to go and attend school and see those children, that was making her more negative. She has taken vacation, she has done everything, and then she took help of her peer to understand that she was having a burnout. She did not knew that there is a concept called burnout before, and then once she understood that she's having a burnout, then she could take some steps to help herself, and then she could return effectively to the community. So, what are the self care measures that we can take to prevent our own burnout? So, what is a self care? Self care is, integrating the kind of compassion and kindness towards our own self. We show so much of kindness, so much of compassion, non judgmental attitude, congruence, empathy to our clients. Those some of those things are also have to be shown to our own self. We have to give ourselves the same kind of kindness, the same kind of love, same kind of compassion, to care for ourselves and to prevent burnout. So we can it is like taking ownership of our own health and our own well-being. So there's two concepts of self-care. One is personal and one is professional. Now both of these complement each other. It is always supportive towards each other. It is not in competition with each other. So the more we take measures in both two areas, both will enhance our health and overall well-being. So what is a personal self-care? As I said, that you integrate the same kind of compassion, love towards your own self, and it promotes holistic health and well-being of the self. So there's 5 structure of support, and we need to identify the needs that is stemming up in each of these areas, 5 personal areas of support, and accordingly we can find some strategies to help ourselves and to take care of ourselves. Now physical self care can be anything that promotes or optimize your physical function. It can be having a proper diet, it can be having going to the gym, it can be having uh, what do I say, like taking proper sleep, taking enough sleep and feel rested. So this is something that you do for yourself to take care of your physical health and physical well-being, and which will always enhance your physical function. The second thing is that psychological and emotional self-care, where you focus on the capacity to maintain a positive and compassionate view of the self. This includes regulation of your emotion, channelizing your emotion. You can write notes, you can have a gratitude journal, you can do many other things in this area to take care of your psychological and emotional well-being. The third part is social relationship, supportive relationship. So in the social self-care part, where you have to identify about the needs that are stemming up in this area, and supportive relationships can enhance your self-care. You have to identify people in your life, or in the loved ones in your life, who provide that energy, who provide that love and compassion to you, and you feel connected to them. So whenever you are down, or whenever you feel the need to talk to someone, you can always go to your social support system, the relationships that you have in your own life. The leisure kind of self care includes enjoyable activities, and where you just feel rested and relaxed. You don't do anything. Maybe you can have a pet dog, you can have a pet cat, or you feel like drawing, doodling, and then you can take part in anything, a sports, an activity, anything that makes you feel rested and relaxed. So this is personal self care in the part of leisure. And the last part is spiritual. Now spiritual doesn't mean that you have to have belief in god, or you have to pray or to some kind of god. Spiritual also means connection with nature, connecting with the universe, in through the form of meditation, through the form of writing, anything that you feel that you can connect with something that is higher power, and something that brings you faith, something that brings you peace in your life. So as we understand, we are different individuals and we have different needs in our life. So not like self care cannot be like one shoe fits all. Anything that is suitable for you, anything that you feel helps you to take care of yourself, should be your ideal type of self care. The second part, coming to the second part, is the professional self care, how we can take care of ourselves in the professional settings as well. So the process of purposeful engagement in practices that promote effective and appropriate use of the self in the professional role. So using of yourself in appropriate way and meaningful way in the professional settings, and which also enhance your holistic health and well-being. That is our professional self-care. And here we have 6 structure of support. This support system will help you to take care of your professional side and professional being. The first one is workload and time management. So we have to be very mindful about the workload that we are taking in, and we also have to sometimes say no to certain things which we feel that we don't need so much of involvement in that area. So certain areas we have to learn to say no to our workload and the time management that we are doing. So we have to manage our time accordingly, and I am sure that all of you have your own time schedule, all of you follow your own time schedule, and it is always better to have your a time schedule for yourself, which will also help you to give some kind of stability in your life. So workload and time management is the first area. Second is attention to professional role. Now we as a psychologist, we are trained in certain ways. We are ethically driven individual. We know what is right, what is wrong in the professional field, and we work according to those ethics, those values that we have learned during our training days. Now when you go to a different setting of work, maybe you're working with a corporate, you're working with a school or some other kind of setting. So it is important to also understand the definition of psychologist as per that company or as per that organization, and it will give you and understanding of your own role and the role of the company as a psychologist, and accordingly you can both sync together to work towards a common goal of the company as well as of yourself. And also we very when we are giving attention to professional role, it is also important for us to understand the limitations that we have as a psychologist, the limitations of the areas of practice that we have as a psychologist. So it is also important that if I'm not comfortable dealing with a client who is having, depression, or if I'm not comfortable dealing with a client which who has faced sexual abuse in childhood, and I'm not being able to handle that client, so it is always important to identify and accept that, okay, this is my limitation and I am not being able to, I will not be able to provide the best treatment to that client. So always refer the client to someone else who might be able, might be in a position to help that client. Our intention is always to help the client and not to, keep a stock of clients with ourselves and not referring. And referring doesn't mean that it is a weakness in our part. It always means that you are aware of your own limitations. The third part is that attention to reactions to work. So we have to notice and honor and manage what kind of attitude and what kind of attention we have, the reaction that we have towards our work. No matter where you are working, you will have some kind of reactions associated to that work. So it is important to bring in notice to your cognitive, to your thought process, to your behavior towards that, towards your work. The fourth one is professional support and self advocacy. So professional support is that when you are working in an organization or anywhere you're working, there will be some colleagues who will be supportive towards you, who will be encouraging towards you. So it is important to identify those people in your work setting to receive, constant support from them, constant motivation from them, and receive some kind of guidance and education from them when you are stuck in something. So it is important to reach out to those people, and then you can take help from them. So also connecting a network. So right now we are also connected as a network. We also have a chain, a group of psychologists. We are working together for common cause. And also it is important to have this professional social support network, so that if you are feeling something, you can always share that with other psychologists as well. Professional development, this self-care focuses on, as we are in the field, we always have to keep up to date with the new research, evidence-based research, evidence-based therapy that is coming to your mind, that is coming in the field. So attainment of those knowledge and skills is also part of professional development, and which we regularly undertake. So this can be also a kind of self-care, professional kind of self-care for ourselves. Attending today's webinar is also a professional development for all of us, to understand and to learn from each other. And revitalization and generation of energy. So this is also important, how we can sustain energy, or the encouragement and the hopefulness about our own work, though no matter what kind of work we are doing. So it is also important to sustain and be hopeful towards that kind of work. So this is the self-care wheel that you can, I think so it is not very much visible with the it's not so much visible with the kind of fonts it has. So what I can do is that I can share this picture with Gaurav sir or Monica ma'am. So as a handout, you can keep it for yourself after the webinar, and whenever you feel like, you can always refer back to this self-care wheel. As I already said that, self-care is not one shoe fits all. For me, maybe self-care means spending time with nature and gardening. For you, self-care may be meaning, going out for a walk, playing with your pet dog. Self-care cannot be like what I feel is best for you. It is always your individual, it comes from your individual need, belief system, and the culture and social background that you have. So you can see there are various examples that are given here, how you can take care of yourself. In the psychological part, you can see that there is self-reflection, there is therapy, there is journaling, relax in the sun. And in the emotional part, you can also see that there is acceptance, there is affirmations. You can always cry out loud whenever you're feeling, overwhelmed with emotions. In the spiritual side, you can see there is self reflection, go into nature, find spiritual community. In the physical, as I have already mentioned, take time off, going for some acupuncture. And then there's personal thing, and there's professional. And also another important thing in the professional I forgot to mention is that do not work overtime. Have a fixed amount of working time, and make sure that you have those boundaries set for in the work ethics as well. Let your colleagues know that you are not available after work hours. We have a tendency in India that even the employers can contact us even after the work hours. They contact us on Sunday, they contact us on Saturday, whenever we are off they contact us, and we don't particularly say no to them. We somehow give in, and we somehow you know try to do the work when even when we are resting, or whether when we are not working as per se. So it is also very important that please do not work after your work hours. Leave your whatever documentation, working, everything to office, and continue the following day. So this is another kind of self care that you can practice. So I'll send this picture to Gaurav sir, so that you can have easy access to this. So it's important that we know our red flags. So that the case example that I gave was me. That was me that I wanted to share with you. So I was working as a school counselor, and within 1.5 years, I started to feel the burnout symptoms. And right now I know that whenever I feel that I am having a burnout, I can easily recognize and identify, because right now I know the concepts, right now I understand. So it is also important for you to understand your own red flags. It is also knowing that when you are facing burnout, or when you are stressed, what are the symptoms that you see, or what are the feelings, what are the thoughts that comes to your mind, and you can easily identify. Second most important thing is connect with a peer or a supervisor. It's very, very important that you connect with someone and you talk about whatever issues are bothering you. It may be because of the kind of work that you're doing, or a difficult client that you are seeing, or you are not making any progress with a client as per se. So it is always important to connect with someone who is also in the same field, and who can give you some kind of input, some kind of perspective to you, so that you can also have an understanding. Reach out for social support, as I have already explained this part, which is very, very important. Unplug yourself technologically and mentally. Sometimes go without laptop and phone. Detox yourself from screen, detox yourself from electronics gadget, and go into the nature. Spend there some time and sit there without all this technical things. And also very important, get yourself in therapy, get yourself enrolled in therapy. If you feel that you need to talk with someone, if you feel that you have to understand certain elements about your own self, and you need to get a direction and help, so always there is an option to get yourself in therapy. So what are the benefits of having how benefits of self-care is that, of course, that we will be more productive in our work, and there will be improved resistance to diseases. So what happens is that when we are in a relaxed and little stress free, so our parasympathetic sorry, I forgot, PNS, the PNS nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system gets activated, and it kinds of make your body in a relaxed position. So when you are in a relaxed position, there is improved resistance to diseases, and there's along with that there's better physical health, and increase self knowledge. And increase self knowledge means that when you are understanding your own red flags, and you have a social support system, and you have a peer whom you can reach out to, so that is the benefit of overall benefit of taking care of yourself. It is also important that not everything that feels good is self-care, is part of self-care. We might feel good after as our clients, we also have a lot of unhealthy coping mechanisms, like smoking, drinking, taking alcohol, like drugs and etc. So those are unhealthy ways of coping, which gives us some kind of relaxation, momentary relaxation. But if we indulge in this healthy coping mechanisms, or healthy ways of taking care of ourselves, so it has a long term benefit in our life. And the last thing that I would like to share is that, as professionals, as psychologists, we have to have each other's back. We are a community, and we have to feel as a community. We have to work for our own selves as well, for our own mental health, and we have to normalize the challenges that we face on regular basis. We have to come up with something that, where we can address our issues as well. So we have to talk about the challenges, and we also have to normalize that the suffering that the psychologists go through, sometimes even in our family, sometimes even with our friends, when you try to discuss certain things, that sometimes they invalidate, sometimes they shut you off, like, you are a psychologist, you cannot feel like this, you know all the resources, so you should not feel depressed. So these are the general common reaction that we receive. So we as a community, we have to have each other's back so that we understand each other more. We have to talk about it, and we have to create more awareness about what we face in and day out, and how we can handle those. And of course, we have to help and support each other. So this is all about it. And if you wish to stay connected with me, these are the links and the profile that I have shared with all of you, so you can take a note. So I like the participants, if you want to share your own story, and so that you can help us to understand more about these issues and how to overcome, that will be much appreciated.
So, if you don't mind, ma'am, can I take 5 minutes from you and can ask every participant to share their story so that we can get connected with everyone and get to know that how they are coping with their, tough situation.
Yes.
Okay. So, dear participant, kindly unmute yourself one by one and can share your cope-up stories during your, any challenging situation in your life, so that we can be get more information and about our own coping strategies, so that we can help each other.
Remember, we
Is
are a
there anyone
community, and there
interested?
is no judgment over here.
Right.
Myself,
And
Sarita
there is no
Nevatia.
one going to judge you. Yes. Hi, Sarita ji.
Hi.
Please, you can share your details about your coping strategies and your difficult situation.
Yes, ma'am. The time I find difficult to cope up, I I shout. I tell whatever comes in my mind, and I tell my husband or my children, just let me talk. Whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm saying, maybe not to you, but there are a lot things going on in my mind because of so many other things, nothing to do with you, maybe directly or indirectly. But let me talk. Let me tell. Let me yell. Let me shout. Give me my time.
Absolutely.
I might sound illogical, or I might sound like little mad, but let me talk. Let me shout, so they understand that I'm dealing with special children. I'm dealing with I am having one daughter also. She is again a girl child, special need. So I going through lots of things, even at my house. So with guests, with ma'am, Shehnaz ma'am, as you told, we are lot personal things also going side by side in our mind and in our life. So when I
Absolutely.
find that difficult, at that time nobody can stop me. And after 1 hour or after half an hour, I find myself totally like balanced. Totally. At that time, I find, okay, I'm ready to take more now. I'm ready to. I recharged. So this is
Right.
my strategy to cope up with this type of situation. So if
So,
I'll
ma'am,
not
it's
talk,
kind of
I
a
will. Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
It's kind of a catharsis, ma'am, that you completely went out to your husband, your safe
Yes, ma'am.
space.
Yes, ma'am. So and I tell them that please do not take it personally. Maybe I will shout on you. Do not take it personally,
Hmm.
because I am finding it difficult now to keep things in me. So I
Absolutely.
take out everything whatever I have in my mind. Maybe I'm keeping things, like I'm making stock of things from like last 3 months or 6 months. I take out
Hmm.
everything. because it helps me a
Hmm.
lot. It helps me a lot, ma'am. And
Absolutely, ma'am.
this is my way of bringing my balance, my mental balance on track.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much for
ma'am.
giving us this platform to talk about. Like, as you said, nobody is judging you.
Absolutely,
Everybody
nobody's
expecting us like I will have to be always on my toes. I will always have to be balanced. Always. I will always be on like a perfection perfectionist. I can't speak nonsense. So,
Yes,
but
this is the
why?
expectations, ma'am. This
Why?
is the
But why?
expectation. Exactly. Thank you, ma'am, so much for
Thank you
sharing.
so very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarita ji, for sharing your experience with us. It is very wonderful to know that you used to cope up differently with yourself whenever it is very challenging or suffocating for you. So, is there anyone else who want to share about your own experience? How do you cope up in any difficult situation? Anyone, please come up and share your views. Because this is how we are going to, help each other with different strategies that we have applied by ourselves only. Sainaz ma'am, here I want to share about my coping strategies because from 2019 I am facing a difficult situation, a challenging situation with my father's health, and there I found it is very difficult for me because when he was in ICU, there were some cases like suicidal cases are there, and very negative cases, like very tough cases I have dealt with I mean during that time, and I found it very difficult to be with every client, like be in very calm and positive situation. It was very difficult, but that gardening thing, whenever I came back and I used to garden and spend a little time with my plants, they're almost like my own babies. So it helped me a lot. And also, whenever I used to doodle anything on my page, whatever comes in my mind, it helps me to relax. So this is what.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely. I'm aware of the challenges, Monica ma'am, that you have gone through. I also like to tell the participants, whenever we both find anything difficult in our
right.
professional field, we just pick up a phone and we just say, Monica, that this is the client I am dealing with. I don't know. I am feeling so vulnerable. I don't know. I can't help. I can't do anything. And then Monica is always there to support me. And similarly, when
Yes.
she's facing some kind of difficulty, like we both talk with each other, and we find a comfort zone, and we find a safe space to talk about our own vulnerabilities. As Sarita ma'am said,
Exactly.
no, that we have so much of expectations that we have to be always on our toes, we have to be perfect with our speech, with our communication, like we can't suffer because we are psychologists. But
Right.
that's an utopian idea.
Right. Recently, one of my friend came to me with her own emotional baggages, and she's also working as a psychologist for last 8 years. And when she came to me, she deliberately, like she was very conscious about this thing, that am I going to judge her or not? Then I completely relaxed her and told her that there is no point of judging you, because I'm right now, you are not only my friend, but also a person with some stressors, some emotional baggages. My duty is to helping you out with this all thing, right? So with two or three session is going on right now. So third session, after third session, she is feeling more and more comfortable with her, with her situation, and now she is feeling that no, I can share better with my client, that we need to help each other as well. This is how we are building our community stronger, and I think there are more participants who would like to share their coping strategies. Otherwise, I will keep on talking about my experiences. Anyone
Priyanka
interested?
ma'am writes. I think Priyanka
Yes,
ma'am has sent something. My coping was drawing and play with my cats. Absolutely.
that's really very good. Yes, playing with pets are also very, helpful. Yes, Sarita ji has
So
written that I think we need to work on keeping yourself mentally healthy for helping others. Yes, right. Our clients, as they are dependent on us. Yes, it is very true that they are very dependent. Right, ma'am? Um, Sainaz ma'am, if you want to reflect more on this thing, that is there any other strategies that you are applying with yourself to, cope up in any challenging situation that you can share, so that every participant would get enlightened with that thing also.
yeah, basically my coping is, connecting with the peer first. Whenever I'm facing a difficult situation, I always connect with a peer, and then I look out for my social support system where I am not judged, where I am accepted as I am, and I feel that someone is there to the entire day. We listen to 8 hours long, we are listening to other people, and if
Right.
someone gives me, half an hour to just listen to me, it feels a lot of venting from my end. Like I vent, and then there's always I doodle a lot, not doodling exactly, like coloring and then gardening. And my favorite activity is just going to the terrace and just sit here and watch the sky. Nothing else, just appreciate the moon, the stars. And I have a special app, I don't know, it's called Sky Map, and I just use those
Okay.
app to see which star is there, which planet is there. That is another thing, that is my way of spiritual connectedness with higher power. Like, I'm
A
not a
kind of
religious person.
mindfulness.
Yeah, I'm not a religious person as per se, but I'm very spiritual, so I kind of connect with the higher power, with those kind of energies. So if
Which is
anyone
very
else would like to
important.
share,
Okay,
we
Raj
can, or else
Lakshmi
we can.
ji. Raj
Yeah,
Lakshmi ji has written that she does pyramid meditation regularly and laughter therapy with family, especially with kids, and dance. That's really very great. That it's very important to get connect with your family members and spend quality time. Okay, Deblina ji, she has. I share my problem with my very near and dear people, and I like to listen to music and sing. That's great.
that's lovely. So what is pyramid meditation, ma'am, if you would like to share with us? I'm not aware of that.
Rajlakshmi ji, kindly unmute yourself, and could you please enlighten everyone with the pyramid meditation? Priyanka Chaudhary ji is she has a question for you.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you can ask your question. You can unmute yourself and
হ্যালো,
then ask.
হ্যালো, শেহনাজ। হ্যাঁ, আমার একটা কোয়েশ্চেন আছে, সেটা হচ্ছে অনেক সময় আমরা মানে কোনো ক্লায়েন্টের প্রতি বা ক্লায়েন্ট না হলেও বাইরের অনেক সময় দেখা যায় যে মানে যেই জায়গাটাতে হয়তো এমপ্যাথি দিতে হবে, কিন্তু দেখা যায় যে আমাদের মধ্যে একটা বিরক্তি কাজ করছে। তো সেই জায়গাটা কিভাবে ডিল করবো, মানে যেখানে হয়তো এমপ্যাথেটিক্যালি দেখা দরকার, কিন্তু আমাদের পার্টিকুলার কিছু পার্সোনালিটি ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক্স এর জন্য বা কোনো কারণের জন্য আমাদের একটা বিরক্ত কাজ করে, সেই জায়গাটা কিভাবে ডিল করবো এটা একটু জানতে চাইছি। আর আমি হচ্ছে ঋদ্ধি এবং শরণ্যার বন্ধু, তো আমি তোমার ব্যাচমেটই, যে কারণে মানে আমাকে ম্যাম বলো না। তুমি আমাকে
Oh,
পার্সোনালি হয়তো
okay.
চেনো না, পরে আমি কথা বলে নেবো তোমার সাথে। ঋদ্ধি আমার খুব ভালো বন্ধু। ঠিক
Okay,
আছে,
okay.
ঋদ্ধি মুখার্জি। ঠিক আছে,
Yes, yes, I know.
খুব ভালো লাগলো আমার আজকে সেশন। আমি তুমি স্পিকার বলেই আজকে রেজিস্ট্রেশন করেছিলাম আর কি। ঠিক
Oh,
আছে।
thank you so much, Priyanka. Thank you so much.
Okay,
So,
Sainaz ma'am, I would request you if you kindly repeat the question in English so that everyone can understand what was her question, and after that you can
okay.
answer. It would be great.
Yes, yes. So Priyanka's question is that in certain situations when she knows that she has to be empathetic towards her client, but sometimes a kind of irritation or anger stems up, and how she can deal with that. So as Priyanka, as we were discussing, this effect of burnouts and how we can deal burnout. So if you see, there is one particular point where we have discussed, negative attitude towards client. So it might be that you are having a burnout and it might be stepping out due to a lot of stress factors, the stresses that are present in your work situation, and also the stresses that you are dealing personally. So it might be possible that you are having a burnout. So first and foremost, identifying and recognizing your own burnout symptoms. What are the areas that are affected most when you are having a burnout? Second thing is always reach out to a peer and supervisor, and you can discuss the case details. Sometimes it happens, the kind of cases that you are dealing with, sometimes we cannot feel empathetic towards the client, and there can be various reasons for that. So it is always better that, so that we can discuss one on one, and then we can understand. And when you are recognizing that you are not being empathetic enough towards the client, it is always better to kind of take a break from that session and continue seeing the clients after maybe a month, not a month, maybe after a week or so that you could process this entire feeling, that why you are not feeling empathetic enough. So it is more to do about what you are, how you are feeling individually as a therapist, and also how you can, express. And sometimes it can be due to a transference that also you are facing in. So again, you have to understand whether what is it that you are facing, and discussing with a supervisor. Could I answer your question, Priyanka, properly?
Is there anyone who want to ask any question to Sahinaz ma'am, or want to share your coping strategies during your challenging situation or challenging phase? Can share your details with, you can unmute yourself and can share one by one.
If not, if there is no question, Monica ma'am, we can move on to the last part, the
Yeah,
activity
yes,
part.
yes, 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 yes. Yes, ma'am, you can. I think there is no such question, so we can move on.
If you have any question, you can always reach out to me. I have mentioned my email ID. If you're a GC alumni, you can always get my number from there itself, so there's no problem.
Okay, there is Navesh who has shared that we have clubs created especially for mental health professional, where we went out the stress and frustration in the form of new learning such as singing corner, music corner, hip hop corner, learn a new game. I learned chess only at the age of 38 there. Wow, that's really very
Wow.
great to know that these things are there. At, I think Pratibha ji is from UAE, right? So it is very great to know that this type of things are there, and we should have this kind of thing here as well. So Shraddhanjali Dasgupta, she have a question for you, ma'am. Shraddhanjali, you can unmute yourself and can ask your question directly to Sainaj, ma'am. Shraddhanjali,
Ma'am,
you
I
can.
think she has left the meeting. I think she
She
has
has
left
left.
the meeting. She's
Okay,
not
okay,
there.
okay. Then
Yeah, yeah.
we can actually continue with our activity so that everyone get connected again and feel the relaxation.
So I just want to ask the participants if they have any time constraints right now, because the activity might take 10 minutes of time. So we are almost around 12:54. Is it okay that we continue with the activity?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay, okay. I'd like all the participants to sit in a little bit relaxing position, and you can take out the A4 paper and also the colors or pen that you have in front of you. I want all of you to close your eyes. Pay attention to the sound of nature. I want you all to remember what kind of important work that you're doing every day. I want you all to accept yourself as you all are without any judgment. Remember all the people that you have helped through your kindness, through your compassion. And all the smiling faces that you see after each therapy sessions. So many people's life have been improved because of you. I want you all to remember all those incidents. You can open your eyes and take a pair of crayons or colors that are in front of you. Write at least 5 kind statements for your own self. You can write more than 5 as well, but at least write 5 kind statements for your own self. You can write more than 5 as well. If you feel you want to draw or doodle something, you're free to do. After the writing the statements, if you feel you want to draw something, you're free to do that as well. Choose colors that represent happiness. Choose colors that represent relaxation for you. You can draw patterns, you can do anything with that paper. Once you are done, let us know so that we can proceed with discussion. Gaurav sir, we can proceed with the discussion. I think the participants are done. This is one of the favorite activity that I always do, so I wanted to share it with all of you as well. So, how are you feeling?
Brilliant, ma'am. Feeling brilliant. Awesome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to share, the 5 kind statements that you have written for yourself?
Ma'am, I wrote shine, smile, bright, fly and rainbow, and laugh. Last one.
Wow,
Thank you so
wonderful.
much. Thank you.
Priyanka Chaudhary ji has shared that she is feeling very happy, and
I think Shraddhanjali ma'am has a question.
yes, Shraddhanjali had a question, and she already have joined again. So I would like to ask Shraddhanjali if she want to ask anything. She can unmute yourself and can ask.
Hi, good evening, ma'am. Good afternoon,
Good
sorry.
evening.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Ma'am, the thing is that I'm having a client. She is 17 years old, but the thing is that she doesn't want to speak in any therapy session. This is the fourth session I'm having with her. But her problem is, as per her parents, she is very much addicted to her cell phone. And the thing
Okay.
is that she doesn't want to study. So
Okay.
how to handle her? Because she doesn't want to speak anything. The only thing she's saying that I am not having any brother and sister of my own.
Ma'am, can you give me a little bit more details? She is studying, like you are the school counselor or you are seeing her as individual therapist?
Individual. She got referred to me from her school only, but she doesn't want
Okay.
to speak anything, and she is very much addicted to her mobile phone. Whenever there is a class going on, she turns off her Facebook and she is chatting with all the kind of boys, only with boys. No girl is there.
Right. So, ma'am, the 40-50 minute session that
Hmm.
she sees you, like how do you try to engage her in conversation?
I
Like
try
she
to ask
doesn't.
her
Huh,
everything, whatever she likes, her hobbies, her strength, her weakness, but she
huh.
doesn't says anything. She is already muted, and the thing is that she says every time that I don't have a brother and sister of my own. This is only
So is
the what she says. In this is the fourth session, so I'm thinking to transfer her to any other psychologist, clinical psychologist, basically.
okay. So basically, ma'am, you're dealing with a resistant client.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, complete resistance is there on part of her, and she's unwilling to completely speak to you, in spite of this is being the fourth session.
Yeah, and the thing is that this is I am her seventh psychologist. Previously, her mother dealt with moreover six psychologists. This is only the thing situation which is going on that she doesn't speak in her therapy session.
Right. Does she connect with her school counselors or teachers or parents as
No,
per
no,
se?
no,
Does she talk
no,
with them?
ma'am. No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay, then there might be certain other resources, ma'am, that needs to be done for her. Maybe only individual therapy sessions is not helping her. So maybe you
Okay.
might need to transfer it to someone else, and someone, who can, at least if she's not speaking in the therapy sessions, first we have to try to, restrict, not restrict exactly, to, to, uh, to cut down the resistance for therapy. So there might be
Okay.
various reasons for not coming to therapy sessions and not speaking. It could be her
So
previous
she
experiences
loves
as
to,
well.
sorry ma'am to interrupt you, but she loves to come to a therapy session. She enjoys, but she won't speak. The thing only she's speaking, I don't have a brother and sister of my own.
Ma'am, can you do some kind of play therapy with her where she doesn't need to speak?
Yes, ma'am, I can do. But the thing is that she is 21 years old.
Ma'am, play therapy can work with adults as well.
Okay, 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 ma'am. Okay.
Where she doesn't have to communicate as per se, but she can communicate through her actions. So if you see the play therapy, the clay workshops or the clay things, so where
Yes,
you
ma'am.
basically you guide her to do certain things, and with that you gain certain insights. And then once if she's enjoying coming to you, and
Hmm.
maybe that there's more exploration may be done on the non-verbal aspect. So I had a client in a school, so he did not speak for 1.5 years in the therapy sessions, ma'am. So
Okay.
when he used to come to sessions, he would just look in the opposite direction, like he would not even look at me. But strangely, when I am meeting him outside, he will always come and greet me. But in the
Okay.
therapy sessions, he will not speak at all. So since you are seeing her as an individual client, so maybe the outside, you will not be meeting her apart from that therapy sessions. So
Yes.
your time is little bit restricted over here. So I can suggest you can incorporate some kind of play activities with her.
Okay. And one more thing, she's having a boyfriend over Facebook only. She met with that guy via Twitter or Instagram. But the thing is that that boyfriend is fake boyfriend. Okay. The thing is that the boyfriend said her that I stay in Australia, but I don't know how to speak in English and so on. My mother is a Christian, my dad is a Christian. Both of them are highly educated doctors. But what the client mother said me that he is nothing a doctor to leave it. They are not a doctor or even they are running a small tea shop in Kolkata itself. But she is not ready to accept the fact that he doesn't live in UK. So how to deal with that
Okay.
situation?
So, ma'am, Shahnaz ma'am, I would like to request Shraddhanjali to send these details to you personally in the mail so that you can guide her throughout the, with the case properly, because it's already 1:10, right? And we need to close this session. And before closing the session, I would like to share some of the participants' experience with the relaxation exercise that Raj Lakshmi ji has said that I made this relaxation therapy BRT. If someone interested can get benefited. Okay, she already have developed something and we can be benefited with this. Yes, you can share, ma'am, with us so that we can know about this. And she also felt relaxation during your relaxing activity, Sainaz ma'am. Singh ji
Thank you
has
so
said that it's very peaceful feel. And Raj Lakshmi ji also said that your relaxation therapy made me very relaxed. That's great. Shamala ji has shared that I feel as if I am flying in the sky, relaxed and happy. That's really very
Wow,
great. Yes.
wonderful.
Uh, Sarita ji has shared that feeling like could go with family for a long drive. Yes. Ansu ji shared that I feel very relaxed and happy. Pooja ji said that really wonderful lecture, ma'am. I am very happy and relaxed. Thank you. Devlina ji said I am feeling happy. Singh ji is written, can I help? Okay, you want to help in that case, and for that case, you can share your mail ID here in this chat box so that Shraddhanjali can send the case in details, right? Priyanka Chaudhary ji is sharing that I have been attending Guidance Cities webinar series for a long time. Long time. Thank you very much for this was favorite session. Guidance Cities webinars are getting interesting day by day. Yes,
Thank you
true.
so much.
Shraddhanjali said, after a long time, I feel relaxed. That's good. Rajlakshmi ji has shared a link for YouTube video. Uh, is there anyone who want to share anything? You can share in the chat box, or it would be better if you share your feelings, your experience with this particular webinar in our feedback form, so that we can have it as a document to energize ourselves more and can come up with more interesting topics in future. And now we can close the session as it is already 1:12 and I can see that everyone is enjoying the session, right? So Sainaz man, if you want, you can as it is already 1 hour, right? So we want to close this session. If
Yes,
you want to add
absolutely, ma'am.
anything, you can add, ma'am.
They can get in touch with me anytime. I have shared my details. I think Vidyut sir is asking for the PPT. Okay, I'll share the PPT with Monica ma'am and Gaurav sir. So you can share the PPT with all the participants. So I think that will be very much helpful. And nothing from my end. So I hope that you have a lot of takeaways from the session and we can always connect, you know, and I'm not an expert in this subject matter because I know that there are many people who are doing wonderful job out there. So I'll just wish them all, everyone, happy new year, and you have a blessed year ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, and wish you all a very happy new year in advance. And let's make 2021 more happy, more beautiful, and more strong. Stay happy, stay home, stay safe. Bye bye.